Hello and welcome to the Potty Mouth Preacher, healing women's minds, bodies, and souls, one trigger at a time. On today's episode, we are talking about burnout. Women are burned out, pulled into a million different directions, waking up feeling about their life with no passion, no purpose. They're lost. This is what we're talking about. I am interviewing a very special guest, Melissa Mejia, who we actually were in a coaching group together. The very first coaching group I ever joined, Tatiana Miko's. Her group was called Own It, and that is how we came together. We were both fitness and exercise, weight loss coaches, and we both have pivoted since then. And so you're going to find out about how she got super burned out in her life, became an Amazon driver for a year, and now is living the dream again, waking up every day saying, yes, I got this, I got purpose, I got direction, I know who I am found. Stay tuned. As always, I'm going to help you shift gears. So just get comfortable, okay, in your seat. If you're able to, close your eyes. Take 3 deep cleansing breaths in. Just let that shit out. Another deep cleansing breath in. One more. And keeping your eyes closed, just notice the temperature of the room on your skin. Notice any noises you might hear either inside or out or on my end. Noticing any smells in the room. Noticing how your body feels, being supported by the surface that you're on. Noticing how your breath is, not trying to make your breath be any certain way, just simply observing your breath. Doing a quick body scan, starting with your toes all the way to the crown of your head. And just simply noticing, being aware, are you holding on to any tension anywhere in your jaw? Are your fists clenched in your stomach? And simply sending those areas love. Noticing any parts of your body that feel really good, that feel relaxed, happy, warm. Just simply being aware. And now in your mind, name 3 things that you're grateful for, making sure that one of those things is something that hasn't happened yet, but you know if it's in your best interest, it will happen. Remembering that gratitude changes your brain's chemistry. Your body, your brain can't focus on positive and negative at the same time. So by switching your brain to gratitude, you automatically start focusing on the positive. And just allowing that love and gratitude to just flow through your whole body, seeping into every cell of your body so that you carry it with you after you leave here. And setting your intention for how you want to feel during this episode and after. Knowing all you still need to do today and having a choice in how you want to feel. No one else gets to control that. Only you control how you feel. So how do you want to feel the rest of your day? That is your intention. Feeling that intention just flowing through your whole body. Seeing yourself going about the rest of your day. Living in this intention. And now saying your powerful I am statement. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and listen to episode 2. Your powerful I am statement, seeing yourself being this I am statement. Maybe it's I am strong, I am capable, I am willing, I am love, I am sexy, whatever it might be. I'm at peace. Seeing yourself going about your day being this I am. What are people saying to you? What's your self-talk like? What does your day look like being this I am? And then your next inhale, just letting all the love and gratitude and your intention and your powerful I am statement just flow through every cell of your body so you carry it with you the rest of the day. And then slowly open up your eyes and welcome back to the Potty Mouth Preacher. And now let's get on to our celebrations. Celebrations are those seemingly insignificant steps that we take along our healing journey, right? The things that maybe we don't even recognize or notice that we're doing right, that we are being the women that God created us to be. You might miss it if you're not looking for it, which is why every single week, every single session I have with my women on the retreat, we start off like this. In my new healing group that I'm doing, we're going to start off like this, acknowledging our celebrations, the evidence we have that we are being the women that God created us to be. My own personal celebration is that I'm even doing this healing series. This is a big deal for me because, as you know, I had on Tatiana Miko, my coach, who called me out on not owning being a healer, right? Anybody here drop in comments if you've ever had imposter syndrome, right? Where you feel like a fraud. I've pretty much had that my whole life. I feel like I became an author and I was like, I'm not an author. Portal Tears, Drowning the Demons Beneath the Fat to Keep the Weight from Coming Back, available on Amazon. I felt like a fraud writing this book because I'm a speaker. That's what I was telling myself. I'm not an author. I'm a speaker. Then I became a #1 international best-selling author. Whoa. I was still like, I'm not that. That's not who I am. I'm a speaker, right? Then when I became a personal trainer, I was like, I can't be a personal trainer. I'm a gym class loser. How I was last to be picked. I was spit on because I couldn't play basketball on the team and I would lose all the games for the girls. So then I became a healer, and Tatiana, as you learned a couple episodes ago, called me out on that shit. She's like, girl, why aren't you owning the fact that you're a healer? So the fact that I'm even having a healing series means that I have conquered imposter syndrome, for right now anyway. We'll see the next thing I become if I still have imposter syndrome. But I'm celebrating the fact that I have had the courage to say, this is who I am. I help women heal their minds, bodies, and souls one trigger at a time. I help women heal the weight of the past so they no longer live in it in the future or in the present, even more importantly, right? So that you're not living in the weight of all your trauma that happened in the past. So that you're not living it in the present. So that's my celebration. Drop your celebration in comments. I want to start hearing from you. I want to start hearing what is the evidence you have that you are actually doing things right, meaning right, in alignment with you. What are the thoughts that you're thinking, the actions that you're taking, the people that you're allowing into your life, how you're behaving, right? All the evidence you have that you are actually being the woman that God created you to be. So let's get into it without any more waiting. Melissa Mejia is up and ready to talk about burnout, what to do about it, how to get yourself out of it, and how to reignite, refire your life again. All right, I am here with Melissa. I am so excited to see you again. It's been a long time since we've seen each other.
Yes, I'm so
So
excited.
I can't thank you enough for being on today. And why you're on here. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you're on here, but you did a Facebook reel. So we were in a group together in Tatiana
Yes,
Miko's
yes,
coaching group. That's where I first met you. And do
yes,
you remember Tatiana talking about how I'll never forget this when she told us post for you first?
yes, yes,
Right? Because if you're
yes.
a coach and you're relying on posting, but post for yourself first. I remember thinking that's like weird advice. I didn't really understand it.
Mhm.
And I remember she said, because you will be looking back to see
Yep,
how far you've come.
yep.
Right. So I don't know if you know this, but I just saw Tatiana. I met her for the first time in person in Buffalo.
I
I
know, I
did.
saw. I love
You should you should have seen our greeting. It was like,
pictures.
I mean, we hugged for so long and we were crying just to see each other in person.
That's
So
so
it's
sweet.
so it's crazy how God works in this way, right? So I met her in person. So she's really been on my mind and I've kind of really been reviewing all the stuff that I learned in her group, right? And
Mhm,
especially the posting for yourself and looking back.
mhm.
So
Yes,
of course, what happens? I go on Facebook and you pop up with that reel. That reel
yes,
I told you that I've stalked you, right? Like I must have
yes.
watched that thing at least 10 times.
Oh, you're so sweet.
It resonated so much with me. And I was like, this is everything, right? I'm going to have you talk about the reel in a couple minutes.
Yes,
But just the fact that the whole thing really is about like feeling burnt out, right?
yes,
Every
yes.
so if you're watching this right now, any woman that's watching this right now, if you're feeling burnt out, I want you to drop in the comments, burnt out, do a flame or something, right? If you're waking up every day going, what is my purpose? What am I even doing with my life? I'm just pulled in so many different directions. I hear this from so many women. I'm sure you do too, right? As women, we're pulled in so many different directions, and it's so easy to just feel completely burned out. So if that describes you, drop in comments for me. So, Melissa, I don't want to tell your story. So, just in the next like 2 or 3 minutes, can you do like another reel, like reinvent what you said in that reel because it just resonated so much with me. And I know other coaches and just other women out there, especially in the helping professions, right? Coaching professions, healing, this is going to just change their life. It's going
Oh my
to
God.
have such a big impact. So just tell us in 2 or 3 minutes, what was that reel about, the one that I'm talking about?
Yes, 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 yes. Oh gosh, thank you so much for that. So that reel was actually all about what occurred to me and for me, during this time, like post COVID. So during COVID, I had a business. So before COVID, before I had a son and everything, I actually was a fitness and nutrition like expert. I did that for about a decade or so. And it was like my calling, like I felt it in my soul, in my being, like it was my calling, it was my thing. Then I became pregnant and I decided to go fully entrepreneur. Let's do this, stay at home with my kid type of thing. But what I didn't know what that was going to happen was 2020, right? And 2020 was that pivotal moment where we were all home, where we were, all trying to figure out everything in life. And during this time, I actually was very successful with my online fitness coaching business. And that was incredible. That was amazing during that time. But now, fast forward to when my son was now 2.5, and I like everything was opening up and all the things, I started to feel burnt out. And not only that, but I actually started to feel like I really kind of was lost in my purpose and my passion and what I wanted to do. And one of my biggest things that I have always followed is have always followed my passion. Like that's like one of my biggest things. I've always followed my passion and my intuition. Like when it tells me there's more, I know there's more. When it tells me that doesn't feel good, I'm like, okay, how do I change this because it doesn't feel good? I don't want to not feel good, you know? So for me, it was so important to look at and be like, what do I want to do? So during that time, I had actually kind of like a, I guess you could call it was like a breakdown. It honestly was a breakdown because, I started to close my business. My clients were, finishing up all of their contracts with me and everything. And it was incredible and amazing all the time that I shared with them. But I was like, I am not feeling driven anymore to do this. And at
Mhm.
the same time, I was feeling confused because this was my passion for 10 years. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Who am I being? What, like all these things. And how am I even going to bring a food to the table, et cetera, et cetera. So now I'm like, I have a son. What do I do? Right. I have a family to take care of. Oh my goodness.
Right.
So during that time, what I was really wanting to do is something that I could do like kind of mindlessly and like something easy that I could, bring the bread home. But at the same time, behind the scenes, I was really wanting to, at the end, focus on my business. Like, this is what I want. And this is, I know it, it's mine, it's my destiny. Like, I am made to be an entrepreneur. Not only that, but I am made to support and impact women all over the world. Like, I know that for a fact. It's like my gift, right?
Oh my God,
So,
I just love that. I love that because this whole podcast is about being the woman God created you to be, right? Not
yes,
waking up every day going, ah,
no,
another
no, no,
day. So
no.
I love this. Go on, keep going.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is my passion. This is my purpose. This is what I want. This is my desire. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go into this and I'm going to do it. So I went into working at Amazon full time and I ended up driving, those big UPS trucks. I ended up driving one of those for Amazon. And I actually was in Amazon for a year and a half. But I mean, a year and a couple of months. But during that time, all this time, I was always behind the scenes, figuring out, looking what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do, all these things. Little by little, things were popping out. Things were popping out. But of course, during that time, I also was feeling now burnt out with the full time that I had. So now I was like, okay, I want more freedom. I want more. I like the time and the schedules were long schedules.
Mhm.
They were 10 hours during the time, but usually it was like a 12-hour day because you would have to, drive there and then drive home, all these things. So, I wasn't seeing my son as much. I wasn't spending time with my family as much. But I knew it was just like a moment in time. Like I knew I was going to tell this story one day, which is like right now. I'm telling it right now.
I have chills.
Like I knew
Chills.
I was gonna tell this story one day. So here I am, looking back and I was, starting to like really envision what I wanted and what I really wanted to like bring out to the world, what I wanted to really focus on, et cetera, et cetera. And little by little, things started coming out, like my business started like, being different, feeling different. I actually ended up getting COVID during this time for a whole month. I was out from work and it was like a godsend because it really, really like brought me to like my core of like, okay, this is really what I want to do. And this is no longer what I want. So I was like, I am actually going to step away from working like all these hours and all of these things from Amazon. And I know there's something better. I know there's something better. I know there's something more. I know there's something that I can do, that I can still build my business, that I can still do what I want, but at my time with my freedom, and they're going to pay me
Mhm.
more and more and more, right? Like I knew there was something out there. A couple months go by, things happened, like I was able to, manifest more clearly with what I wanted. I actually changed the Amazon uh, company that I was working for. They had better hours. I was home earlier. Like it was all looking better. But I was like, it's still not it. It's still not it.
Mhm.
While I'm
Mhm.
also building my business and, spending time with family, all those things. So then now, fast forward to about February of this year, 2023, I actually got a ping. I got like I need to do this. This is what I'm gonna do. And actually it was like to go towards like the biotech kind of like route for right now for what it felt called because of the time freedom that they have, and also the pay increase was like a big increase, and it was going to support me and it's going to support my business, all the things that I wanted and the freedom that I want. And it was open at the time that I needed it. Like it was all the things that called played out, like all the ducks in a row. And, a couple months go by, I'm talking back with the recruiters, I'm talking with the supervisors, and I got the position. And I was like, oh my God, I got the position. And I'm like freaking out excited. So I go into the same day that I found out that I got in, I was on my way to Amazon that same day. I was like, hey, I'm giving my 2 weeks today. I am done with this. And she was like, I will miss you. And I was like, I will not miss Amazon, but I will miss you. Because the hours and the schedule and stuff like that, but it supported me during the time, and I'm so freaking grateful because I know the tenacity and the grit and the power that I hold, because I can fucking do anything. Like that's the biggest thing that I've learned, that we as humans are so, like, we can be and do anything. Like we could just be like, if this is the moment that you need it, like you can learn and you will freaking be amazing at it. Like, like I was one of the best drivers that they had, and it was just like, oh yeah, it's just driving, blah, blah. But there's a lot that goes behind it. And it's like for you to like know and learn and then after be better and excel at it. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's a big deal. Like like I had like driver of the month 2 times and stuff like
Of
that. Like
course
all
you
these
did.
things.
You know
But
what I
all
love? Oh my gosh. You know what I love? What just hit me? You like, because you were saying how in the reel that I saw, you were talking about how you just felt lost, right? With no
yes.
purpose. And how you were drawn to drive for Amazon, where you literally have to have directions and a purpose of where you're going.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think of that. That's amazing. But yeah, one of the
Yeah.
biggest things I felt that for me is that I wanted to be outside, because I knew that outside for me was like a big, big, like kind of grounding area. And I didn't know exactly, I was like, of course, no matter what, it was in the snow, it was in the rain, and it was like it was when it was hot, 90 degrees, etc. Like, I did it all. But it taught me so much of myself, and it also brought my passion back. It also brought me
Mhm.
back to what I wanted to do. It also brought me back. So I'm so thankful for that time, because I was able to really focus on what I wanted to do. Like I would talk to myself throughout the day, and I'd be like, what do I want to do? Who do I want to support? What impact do I want to create? All these things. And here I am a year later, still holding a full-time position, but in such a beautiful way. Like, for example, today is Wednesday. I get to go to a pool today, like all day long. Like, that's
What?
amazing.
A
Yeah.
pool? Did you say a pool? Like part of your job, you get to go to
No,
a
no, no,
pool.
not part of my job.
What?
No, just today. Like today's Wednesday, and I could just go to the pool today.
Oh, you
Like,
can do what you want. I see
yes,
what you're
I can do
saying.
as I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also, I am getting paid so much more. And also, I am also building the business that I like love, and the clients are coming in. All these beautiful things, but it's because of that courageous faith that I held during that time when it was so hard, when it was so rough, when I was feeling burnt out, right? When you're like, I have no direction, I have no purpose, I have no passion. Like, where is it? What is it? You got to just go deeper. You got to go deeper. And that's what I did. And this is kind of what happened in 365 days, which is so crazy. It happened like in a whole year's time.
I love so many. Oh my God, my head is exploding right now because there's so many things. There's so many directions I want to go in with this. But and I love the fact that you were saying how this new job, like it came easy, right?
Yes.
Whenever, would you agree, whenever God is involved, everything, what you just said, all the ducks line up in a row. It's like that book. Did you ever read The Alchemist from,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
how
I
the
have.
universe, when you decide on what you want, you take action, the universe and God, everything conspires to help you get that. And it's like it feels okay. I want to say this though. It feels easy, right? And some
Yes.
people watching, I just want to make it clear for those of you watching, you might look at Melissa and be like, oh, it was an overnight thing, right? No, did you hear what she said? 365 fucking days it took
Yep.
to get her to
Yep.
this place, right?
Yep.
And that's where the Facebook memory came in. Wow, looking back at how far you've come,
Yes. Yes.
because people have that, people so many times, oh, it just happened overnight, or it's easy for her. Like, I want to drive that home to any woman that's watching right now. And maybe you are in the Amazon driving phase, maybe you are before the Amazon driving phase, just waking up with no passion in your life, right? And seeing this, that you kept going. And this is what I love. I have chills right now. I've never heard this before. Courageous faith. As you can see behind me, I'm big on faith,
Oh my
right?
gosh, yes. I
But
just
I've
saw
never
that
heard.
too.
Tell me more. Let's dig in a little on this courageous faith. What is that? How do you get it? How do you know when
How do
you
you
have
achieve
it?
it? How do you become it? So I feel
Yeah.
like, so all of us have courage within us. Like we all have courage. And I feel like we can also all have faith. Now, what I feel like, you can't have faith without courage, and you can't have courage without faith. Right. So it's like it's both, they both go together and they both intertwine in a beautiful way where you can actually be open to being like, yes, this is what I hold on to, and this is what I'm devoted to, this is what I feel, and this is what's gonna be. Like I have this is where the faith comes in. But so many times when we have that faith, we start to notice like the different paths that come in into our, like in our life, right? The different paths. And some of the paths are those comfort paths, right? The paths that we have known, the paths that we have walked before.
Mm.
And we know that they're the paths that we have walked before. So we're like, yes, we know those are, of course, yeah, let me walk through those. But instead, have the courage to hold on to the faith and walk a new path. Have the courage to hold on to the faith and do it differently for you and make it for what you want with your destiny, as you are the one. Like my brand is all about being the one, like knowing that it's the one. Like we go out there and we search for the one outside of us, right? Like looking for the partner. And I'm not saying it, like stop doing that, but I'm saying like look at yourself as that one person that you've always been looking for, right? That one
Ooh.
person where you're always like, this is for me, like, like I am the one, like I choose myself. And this is all about like the path of really reawakening who you are born to be, being you, like being all of you, and not hiding any of you, and fully seeing yourself, allowing yourself to be seen, and you doing that with yourself. Like it's knowing you, it's really revealing who you are, so it really had, all of what I went through the year brought me to where I am today, that I can speak on this in such a potent,
Mhm.
beautiful way. And I can also be like, this is what courageous faith can do for you. Like, because I walk with courageous faith every day, like, and it's something that I am very, I guess you could say, it's not that I'm used to it, but it's something like, I'm always going to walk the new path because this is just who I
Mhm.
am. And I want to learn my lessons, and I want to then impact others and support them and help them and see how it goes, all that thing, right? To show them the way. But it's like, we got to lead ourselves with that courageous faith. And when we hold on to both of those and we walk with that,
Mm.
imagine the possibilities, imagine the limitlessness that you get to have because you believed it, and you believed it wholeheartedly, and you also walked something and walked along something that you never have done before.
Do you need healing from imposter syndrome? Do you suffer what I suffered from? How I talked in the episode today about how I didn't want to own that I was a healer. I didn't want to own that I was an author either. I'm a speaker, not an author. When I first became a trainer, I didn't want to admit that I was a trainer because I thought I was still a gym class loser. If you need to heal from imposter syndrome, drop in comments what it is you need healing from, and then click the link below to join my monthly healing group so we can heal you from imposter syndrome and you can start owning it, owning who you are, just like I did. I am a healer. What are you? Who are you? That's the important question. Oh my gosh, like you, like, so part of your courageous faith was admitting, right? Admitting that I'm burnt out. I'm not feeling passion
Yes.
for what I'm doing.
Oh,
And doing, because I know there's a lot of coaches watching. Drop in comments if you're one of these coaches that's watching right now saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, right? I feel like
yes.
every coach, including myself, I've had those moments watching the garbage man outside, Melissa. I'm not even kidding you, going, that would be so much easier. All I have to do is step out of the truck, right? Or don't have to step out of the truck. There's like things I can pull.
Yeah, they
Just
can pull
take
it for
people's
them.
right, like just take people's garbage every day. I don't have to deal with marketing, social media posts, right? Tech stuff.
Oh, I
I don't
feel
have to do
that.
any of
Yes.
that. But you know what's funny is I had an epiphany when I had that thought. I was like, wait a minute. I'm already taking women's garbage outside of their mind, body, and
Yes.
soul, right? We all have this garbage going through
Yes.
us, and I'm already taking out their trash every day.
That's
And
epic. Yes,
so
yes,
I
yes.
absolutely love, because I feel like a lot of coaches, it's like, oh my God, that's my worst nightmare, right? Is that I'm going to have to go and do this other job. And this is a new perspective on that.
Yes,
Instead, admit that whatever it is that you are burned out and that you do need to do something mindless, because when we do something mindless, it opens up all these other parts of
yes,
our brain,
yes.
right? That's what happened for you,
Exactly.
it sounds like by
Exactly.
just
It
doing
did.
this mindless job, it's like, okay, now the pressure's off. I'm just doing this every day. And you gain so much clarity. So any coaches out there watching, I want you to like, if you keep having this nagging thought in your head, right? I just want to stop for a while. I'm just burned out. I just want to do something different, something. Have courageous faith like Melissa did and do it, right? Because you can always go
Yes.
back.
Exactly. That's the thing that I want to really like hone in, right? Like you can always change, right? Like what I fully believe in is that okay, so there's like actually, wow, the fact that you even walked into that and we are talking about it, but I actually posted something yesterday on my Instagram at Melissa Mejia Official, and it was all around like how I don't believe that we can change everything about anything. I don't believe that. And the reason why is because we don't have the control over everything. We don't. We really truly don't, right? Like I didn't have control over what happened 2020. I didn't have control over etc. Like different things, that went down. I didn't have control over the fact that my boyfriend's company was closing down. Like I didn't have all these things, right? But what I did have was the control of myself and that what I could change for me, right? So for me, the feeling of burnt out, I couldn't control that. Like even though I wanted to, even though I was, like pushing through it, like putting the pressure on, I knew that wasn't it for me. So I was like, you know what I can control it, what I can change is what I want to do with myself and how I want to step into my life and what I want to create for my life. This is my courageous faith. I'm going to focus on this and I'm going to focus on my path, on how it looks like. Will it take me a little bit longer to get to what I desire and my dreams and all these things? Yeah, but they will actually even probably change during this time because like we hold on to like a vision and a vision and a vision and we'll hold on to it. But a lot of times they actually begin to shift and we actually begin to change because we get to evolve as humans. So we actually get to be even more clear on like, oh yeah, that doesn't look like that. No, I reached that and
Mhm.
I didn't like that. Let me change that. Let me evolve that. Let me, like, let me switch that up. Right. So for me, it was like, will it take me a little bit longer? Yeah, but fuck it. I'm gonna be able to tell this story. I'm gonna be able to tell this story.
Do you remember in Tatiana's group, the one
Yes,
time I said, fuck it, just be.
yes,
And she goes, you
yes,
need to put that on a
yes,
t-shirt.
yes.
So it
I
sounds like
remember.
what you're talking about is that, right? Fuck it, just be. Like surrender. Like saying,
Surrender.
just surrender.
That was my biggest thing. And I feel like in oh my gosh, earlier I said 2023. Sorry, I meant 2022. But in earlier 2022, I was like, this is my path of this year is like the surrender and courageous faith. Like I
Mhm.
walked with that every day, 2022, because from October 2022 to March 2020, sorry. From November of 2021. So from November of 2021 all the way to March of 2023, I was working with Amazon.
Mhm.
And, like that's a year and like a couple of months. So for me, it was like, oh my God, like, like for me to even see that and for me to now look at what I'm looking at 365 days. And I was looking at pictures that I took while I was out on my drive,
I
doing
saw
all
those.
these things. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this was me a year ago. Like, this was me in the thick of it. I was in the thick of it. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I took a sabbatical off Facebook, and I just kind of just went off the grid for 5 months to figure out what the heck was going on,
And I
with
love
all of
that.
that.
I love that you allowed yourself to do that, because entrepreneurs, coaches, anyone that feels like they have to have a social media presence, you are now giving people this permission, right? This, like,
Yes,
look, you can take this time off and you can come back stronger than ever, and you
you can
lean in.
always,
I
always.
absolutely love, because a big thing that I help women with is leaning into how you actually feel, right? Not
Yes,
denying it, not saying, resisting it, right? No, I'm not burnt out. I'm not burnt out. Yeah, you are, girl. You're
yeah, you
fucking,
are.
and allowing yourself to really feel burnt out, right? Allow yourself to feel what, I'm going to ask you that. How did you know you were burnt out?
I just didn't. I just like everything was just like, ugh, ugh.
See that?
And when I'm feeling that, ugh, I'm like, oh no, oh no. And it was just like the pressure. It was just like the pressure to perform, the pressure to bring in, the pressure to create content, the pressure to blah, blah, the pressure to have my podcast, the
Mhm.
pressure to like show up. And it was just like crickets, because obviously my energy wasn't in it. My energy wasn't for it. Like, I just was not in it. So that's when I decided in November. Well, I decided like at the end of 2021. And by November 2021, I began, like right before Thanksgiving, I began at Amazon. And I kept it quiet. Like, I was like so ashamed. I do want to say I was not with courage. Like, I was leading with courageous faith, but I didn't feel like it. Like, I was so ashamed. I was so doubtful. I was so scared. I was like, I am fucking this up. And that's what I said to myself. I was like, I'm fucking this up. Because I honestly also had the way that I'm known. Go to fitness again. Go into like that in-person fitness and find a gym that will pay you, all of these things that I could do that.
Are
But
we soul sisters? I think we're the same person, because you and
yes,
I both started off in Tatiana's group, right?
yes,
It's
yes,
fitness, weight loss. And I know, like, I've pivoted also away from that,
yes,
more towards
yes.
healing. And I remember Tatiana, I'm going to have her on also. And I remember Tatiana calling me out on it. She's like, why aren't you owning the fact you're a healer? Why do you keep going back to what
What
you
you've
know?
known.
In
Exactly. What you've
person,
known.
yeah, but it's easy, right? Because you're right, like, you get comfortable with that. Okay, well, I was a really good trainer, I'll just go to a gym and work, leading groups or something, because it feels maybe easier. Or going, I love this courageous faith idea. If you're feeling burnt out, tap in. Okay, let's talk about that though. How do you tap into the courageous faith? Like, how do you actually be a woman that has courageous faith? If you had to tell somebody, like, what is the first step in that?
Okay, this is good. This is a great question. So for me, I've gone a lot of years, for example, of like I went through survival for a long, long time. Like, I was in a survival mode for many years. So I knew what survival state looked like. So I can't say what everybody's gonna feel like, especially like with their nervous system and in their
Hold
like
on a second.
soul.
Let me just interrupt you for a minute. I just want to tell people who are watching, if you're in survival state, drop something in comments and tell us how you know. What are you feeling in your body that you know you're in
Mm.
survival state? Okay.
Yes, I love that. Right. So during that time when I was feeling burnt out, I was like feeling anxious. I was feeling
Mhm.
like, like I was feeling like kind of like I couldn't breathe. Like I couldn't exhale. Like I could like only inhale, but I couldn't exhale. And during that time, again, I was already tapped into like my intuition, into myself. But again, I felt like there was more. I was like, okay, there's more, there's more. So what I did is I had to ground in a lot. So I would focus on that's when I started focusing more on yoga, and I actually stopped
Mhm.
going to the gym so I could focus on yoga. So I took like a little sabbatical off the gym, because the gym, I love it. Strength training is amazing, but I felt for me intuitively that I needed that like quietness so I could listen to myself more. So what I did is I tapped into myself and I was like, okay, how do I lead myself here? And how do I want to remember this moment? How do I want to remember this moment?
Wait a minute, I just got chilled. Say that again for everybody. Say it
How
again. Like,
how do I want to remember this moment? Like, how do I want to remember this moment? And I knew that I
mhm,
didn't want to remember this moment to be a moment where I held on to something what no longer was. I no
mm-mm,
longer was that fitness slay movement, what I had that brought me success, right? And that I was building, but it no longer felt good. It no longer was something that I was identifying with and I could really continue. So I was like, okay. And I closed my eyes and I was really taking it in and I cried so many times, right? So many tears. But then I was like, I have to fucking do it anyway. Like, I have to do it anyway. And I was like, I want to remember this moment to be a moment that is pivotal. And hopefully one day I could tell the story on how it went, and hopefully I could tell the story on how I actually was working at Amazon for whatever time that I needed to work. But look at me, like, look at where I have been and look at the path that I walked because I believed in me. Right. So for when we tap into courage, we got to also define it how it looks like for us. So, like, what does the
mm,
courage look like for you? What does courage look like for me? For me, courage during that time looked like saying yes to me and saying no to my comfort, right? Like, that's what it meant for me during that time. But courage can look and feel and be different for everybody. So you got to define it for you and see what that means for you. And then also even define faith. What does faith mean to you? What does it look like? And how can you walk with it every day? And if that's important to you, sometimes
mm.
it might not be, but many times it is, right? Where you have that something that you believe in so close to your heart. That's something you hold on to and you have faith that it's going to happen. If we don't, then how are we going to be tapped into that? You can't have that frequency. So I led with that. So for me, for example, it's like really quieting the mind and getting really clear on the definitions of what these things were. What was courage for me? What was faith for me? How did it look like? How did it feel within me? Right. And how was I even courageous before? Like, like showing myself that I did have courage, that I was courageous. And a lot of it was like, yeah, like, look at me. Like, I ended up quitting, or ended up leaving the gym that I had and with the clients that I held for years. Like, I worked with them for 6, 7 years, and it was like 10 clients that I worked with, and they were always coming back, always coming back. But I was like, like that. This was courageous for me when I said that, and I did that because I wanted to be with Bear for like full time. When I went into the entrepreneur journey, I was courageous then. So I showed myself already that I did have the courage and I defined it. And that's how we can really tap in. But it's very different and it looks different for everybody. Right. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on you, define it for you, really make sense for you on what that looks like and how you were it before, and show yourself the evidence that you can do that and you can be courageous.
It almost sounds like first of all, before I go there, I love the fact that you were talking about, you knew how you felt because you feel it in your body, right? I talk
Yes.
about that a lot. Like our minds will lie to us all the time. Our bodies never lie. So you
Mm,
know the truth by how you're feeling in your body. So I love that. And it almost sounds like you're saying you kind of do the courageous faith requires you to do the opposite of what you would normally do. Instead of turning to comfort, right? Like
yes.
this path is comfortable, it's easier because I know it, it's familiar, right? Even though it might not be healthy for you, our brains love familiar. So instead,
Yes.
like that courageous faith is asking yourself, okay, that's what I would normally do. What would the opposite of that be? It sounds
Yes,
like that's kind of
yes.
really
A
what
lot
you
of
did
it
for
actually is
yourself.
like that. Yeah, a lot of it is like that. When I start feeling comfortable in a couple places too, I don't enjoy it. I'm like, okay, I want to continue evolving. I'm not saying that that's something that you have to do all the time, but that's
Mhm.
me because I like learning, I like lessons, I like wisdom that I get create with the paths that I'm walking in. But at the same time, too, you got to also open yourself up to be like, okay, this is what it is right now. Okay, how does it look like? And make it different, walk a different path, see a different scenery, be in
Mhm.
a different environment, and
Like
get out of that.
literally.
level. Yes,
Like
literally.
literally, like how you were Amazon driving, you got to see all these kinds of different scenery.
Did.
And I was thinking about how you said quieting the mind. And I'm sure going off of social media for 5 months helps you quiet your mind, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
social media is a landmine, right? Oh, look at her life. Look at how perfect her business is. Look at how much passion. We don't see what's really happening in people's lives on social
Yes.
media, right?
Yes.
So this, and I think I know that's why I was so drawn to you, because I messaged you a while back. Remember, I was like, I just fucking love what you're posting. It's
Yes.
so real. It's so
Yes.
refreshing, right? To
Yes.
hear somebody say, hey, I went through some shit, right? Like I went through some shit and I'm here to tell you it's all okay. And
Yes,
I
I love that you
absolutely
said that.
I was so drawn to it. I was like stalking you. I said, because it's real. I feel like people are actually craving real right now,
Yeah.
right? Nobody
Yeah.
wants to see the perfect, photoshopped woman in a bikini, nobody wants to see the perfect life out there. Like what's really happening behind the scenes? And
Yeah,
I,
like
I love that you are living in courageous faith. I feel like God is going, yes, you fucking go, girl. You show them what's possible.
I love that so much. Thank you so much. And like during that time, you definitely do not feel it. Like you still are like, oh, that's when the faith walks in, right? Because you're like the faith you hold on to. You're like, I know it, I just know it. But then your human is like, nah, I don't know, right? Like that moment when you're like, I don't know, this is such a bad idea, abort mission. But it's like, that that faith that you hold on to, you're like, but I know, I just know it,
Mhm.
so that's what happens, and now I get to look back, and I love looking back at it now because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, look at this. This time last year I was working at Amazon. I was hot as hell. I was hot as hell. I was sweating my ass off. And today I'm talking to you about the fact that I no longer do that. And I am now living a life of freedom and joy and bliss. And now I have time with my son right now that I can go to the pool, that I can enjoy today with my mom, and like, and my family. Like it's just like wow, I like wow, 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 wow.
Wow, I have such chills, seriously. I just want to tell everyone this is what's possible when you lean into how you're really feeling, right? I used to be an addictions counselor, AA. The first step is admitting you have a problem, right?
Yeah.
Admitting like I'm burnt out. I'm waking up dreading my life. I'm like, admitting it and leaning into it, allowing yourself to really feel it. So I want to wrap up with, if you had just one piece of advice, like what would the most valuable piece of advice you could give? I always say before I do a podcast, I always say a prayer. God, please help me to reach that one woman. I just
I love
focus
that.
on one woman,
Yes,
right?
love
What does
that.
that one woman need to hear? So for that woman, and if that's you, drop in comments. If that's honestly you feeling burnt out and waking up with no passion in your life, feeling lost and no purpose, if that's you, drop in comments. Be courageous in your faith. Drop it in comments, right? Admit it. That's the first step. So what do you want to say, Melissa, to that one woman that's sitting out there going, oh, like what you were?
Yeah, like have faith that there's more. Like if you want it, it's there for you. It's because it's there for you. Like like you have, like, you didn't just have these like desires and wants because they're not made for you. Like they're made for you because you're the one. So when you have those moments where you're in the thick of it, when you're in like the breakdown, when you're in like the frustration, like look at where you can actually have more of the joy, more of the bliss, and open up to that, right? Like stop exhaling. Sorry, stop inhaling like the restriction and the and the anger, and start inhaling the love and the peace and the bliss that you can create with your life.
I love that, because I always give soul work at the end of each show. And I love that. That's the soul work. Stop inhaling the things that you actually want in your life, right? You can exhale
Exactly.
out the garbage, the trash.
Yes. Yes. The trash. Take that shit
Ex-
out.
exhale that out and inhale what you actually want. So how would you like people, if somebody wants to get a hold of you for
Yes,
coaching or just to chat with you, just to find out more information on you, how would you like them to get a hold of you?
yes. So they'll be able to get a hold on me through social media. So at everywhere you can find me on Threads, on TikTok, at Instagram at Melissa Mejia Official, and
Facebook?
you can also find me on Facebook. It's Melissa Mejia. You can usually find me by facebook.com/SWMELISSA. That's like what that was my like used to be named Strong with Melissa. But I still have that because it's easy peasy to tell. And you can also find my website at andsheis.com. Andsheisofficial.com. Sorry. I'm like, which one is it? Andsheisofficial.com. And I'm actually in the works of creating a podcast for the one as well. So be on the lookout for that. So make sure to follow so you get to see all the things because that is coming up too.
I love that. Thank you so, so much for being on. And I know this is just going to impact so many women. I absolutely am just so thrilled that you were on, that we reconnected again. I just love you so much.
I love you. Thank you so much for having me, everybody. Thank you so much for listening and lead with courageous faith and see what happens.
Yes. Okay. That's a wrap.